Have you ever seen those survival seed vault offers? You know, this can of seeds has everything you need in case of civilizational collapse. It's got enough lettuce for you to survive the zombie apocalypse. That kind of thing. It's not a bad idea, a survival seed vault. Of course, there's a lot more that goes into gardening, like actually knowing how to garden. I mean, if you haven't practiced your gardening and you're gonna trust in a survival seed vault to help you, it's like saying, hey, I got an airplane, but you've never learned how to fly. I can escape. Yeah, maybe. It's good to learn how to garden ahead of time, but besides that, the survival seed vault idea is a good idea. So today I'm gonna tell you how to make your own. So you got a couple of options here. It's spring. We've all got spring fever. And right now there are fresh packets of seeds available all over the place. From the dollar store to Walmart to Home Depot to your local farm and garden or feed and seed or whatever else, there are seed packets everywhere. Not to mention the fact that there are catalogs and websites absolutely full of wonderful seeds grown for the 2023 season. If you're gonna get a seed vault setup, right, where it's gonna have a bunch of varieties that they pick for you. You know, it have spinach and it has maybe Better Boy tomatoes, and you don't really get a lot of choice in it. You're just gonna buy a can with a bunch of stuff in there, but you figure, hey, it's hermetically sealed and it's gonna last forever. Well, my recommendation is to pick out the stuff you really like to eat and the varieties that work well for your area, and go get seed packets right now. Get a bunch of seed packets. That's your first option. Well, you say, they're just paper packets. How are they gonna store? I mean, they're packed for a specific season. They're not gonna last. Don't seeds just give up after a while? Yes, they do. So I've got to tell you how to keep them good for just about ever. This right here is your Doomsday seed vault, and it's so simple. This is a normal canning jar, like a ball jar or mason jar, with a silica gel packet in it. You can get these things for really cheap. You can get a big bag of them for next to nothing. Silica gel, do not eat, it says so right on the package. You drop it in there with some seeds. This is a mixture, labeled on the top, of sweet peppers. So, 2 things you need to know about saving seeds. The things that kill your seeds, the 2 things, humidity and temperature. If it's cool to cold and it's dry, seeds last for almost ever. If it's warm and humid, they die. The viability just goes. So what you do is you get yourself any kind of jar that seals. It could be salsa jars, you know, you could get your tomato sauce jars, whatever. If it's got this rubber gasket on the inside, so it's got a seal, you put your seeds in it. You could jam packets in there. You can get a half-gallon jar, jam a whole ton of packets in there. You can get a big pickle jar for about $3.48, and you can eat all the pickles. And then you can take that pickle jar, put in about 30 seed packets, and stick in a couple of these silica gel packets. Now it's dry. And the other thing you do is stick it in your refrigerator. Assuming you have a refrigerator. Most people do. Put it in your refrigerator, let it sit for years. The seeds will stay cool and dry and ready to grow in the garden. Now there's another option for survival seed saving, which doesn't require you necessarily buying anything at all. I planted a wide variety of radishes in here to start my own kind of radish land race, adapting varieties to this area. I want big radishes that don't bolt too quickly and that cross up and have a lot of genetics that will be useful and maybe will adapt to our lower Alabama, Florida Panhandle backyard. So this area here is where we've been harvesting everything out of. But over here, this last patch, we took the smallest and the fastest bolting radishes and eliminated them and left the rest to cross up. So we've got maybe 5 or 6 different varieties of large radish in here, which are now going into bloom, and we'll save seeds from this whole patch. This was about, I don't know, maybe 15% of the radish row that we did. The rest of it we've been enjoying. The little ones go to the pigs and the chickens. The big ones go inside and they get made into pickled radishes and sauteed and roasted and fresh and all kinds of other things. But this here is a way of saving seeds and maintaining your seeds for the apocalypse and having a backyard source that's just ready to go and hopefully better adapted to your climate than you might expect. Now, seed saving can get a little bit complicated. It's easy with radishes, it's easy with pumpkins and melons and beans and tomatoes and peppers for the most part, unless you're growing sweet and hot peppers right next to each other. Then you might get some interesting, confusing varieties. But seed saving is actually pretty simple for most things and a little more complicated for some other things. So by far the easiest thing to do is to simply rely on people that have grown seeds and put them in packets and go buy a bunch of them and stick them in a mason jar with a few silica gel packets and store them for the future. But the more robust, long-term, grid down forever type of a scenario that you want to prepare for, you're going to want to learn how to save your own seeds. And so I'm going to give you 2 books. Remember these 2 books. Suzanne Ashworth's Seed to Seed, which tells you whether plants are inbreeders or outbreeders and the spacing and how you want to save seeds from a huge range of vegetable species. That's your very scientific, here's how to do it. That is the Bible of seed saving, Suzanne Ashworth's Seed to Seed. And on the other end of the spectrum, for the wild experimenter who wants to breed his own varieties over time, check out Joseph Lofthouse's Landrace Gardening, which will help you adapt seeds actually to your climate over time and really do some very interesting things. We're talking like ultimate survival here. Let's figure out which plants are bomb-proof and keep planting those. And that's what Joseph Lofthouse teaches you. So those 2 books I highly recommend for seed saving. On our own homestead, we use a combination of both methods. We save a lot of things in jars, and we landrace, cross a lot of stuff and let it go to seed, and we buy a lot of packets. We save our seeds the same way by putting them in the fridge, but some of them are coming directly out of our gardens and being saved from year to year, and other ones are just varieties that we've bought and said, hey, let's store some of these away for the future. We've got our bases covered. All our eggs are not in one basket, and whichever way you choose, or the combination of both, you're going to have a much better understanding of long-term seed saving if you kind of learn a little bit of how it works, and you will have a better seed vault if you pick varieties yourself. Do research, garden every year, figure out which things really grow well in your garden. Ask local gardeners, what grew really easily for you? Buy a few extra packets, store them in your long-term seed vault, and you're going to be set. You'll have lots extra. And you're not counting on a seed vault that may have been packed up in Montana when you live in Georgia, or vice versa. A couple things to think about. I hope that's useful to you. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you all. Be sure to like and subscribe and all that stuff. And until next time, may your thumbs always be green.